Buongiorno a tutti e ben ritrovati. Oggi la nostra terza diretta. Permettetemi di ringraziare intanto tutti coloro che ci stanno seguendo perché veramente con piacere e con sorpresa che ho notato parecchi follower, come si suol dire. Le nostre dirette stanno andando molto bene e tanta gente anche ci vede dopo, quindi sono molto contento. Voglio ringraziare soprattutto i primi due ospiti che sono stati con noi, Ivano Allaria. Oggi ho postato qualche aggiornamento, visto la conferenza stampa ieri sera del governo e questa nuova iniezione di capitali per le PM italiane, non solo. Quindi questa è una cosa importante. Per i dettagli poi guardate il post che ho condiviso di Ivano. Ricordatevi sempre che Ivano è a disposizione, potete contattarlo direttamente o tramite noi. E ringrazio molto Olga che sabato ci ha accompagnato in questo viaggio in Russia e in Bielorussia. Il suo video è stato particolarmente seguito, quindi sono molto contento. Oggi facciamo un altro focus su due paesi che fondamentalmente non hanno nulla in comune, se non la persona che oggi sarà nostro ospite. Parleremo quindi di Canada, come avrete letto dal programma, e dell'Iran. Sono due paesi importanti in cui l'Italia fa molto business. Nel caso del Canada grazie anche a degli accordi particolari, come sapete, e l'Iran che è un paese in grande esplosione, anche se sta vivendo un momento drammatico come l'Italia dal punto di vista appunto di salute. Ricordo anche che quello che ci siamo raccontati settimana prossima è di particolare interesse, e proprio perché ci sono delle finestre interessanti già di opportunità immediate per fare business in Russia, come ci ricordava Olga, che passano attraverso delle joint venture, oppure anche nel considerare la Russia come un paese fornitore per diversificazione rispetto alla Cina. Parlo sia dei servizi IT che lei ha ricordato, i software, in generale la capacità dei russi di creare appunto dei supporti di tipo digitale per le imprese, ma anche come fornitori di materie prime. Olga ricordava anche che ci sono delle possibilità concrete di fare business oggi in quel territorio per le grandissime potenzialità che ha, e dava dei suggerimenti molto specifici, soprattutto riguardo ai contratti e quindi quelli che abbiamo in essere, quelli che voi avete in essere con le aziende. Come dicevo, appunto, fatti questi due blocchi, oggi passiamo a un blocco diverso. Dico solo due parole sull'intervistato prima di connetterci col Canada, dove lui ci sta aspettando. È una persona che io conosco da direi 20 anni, un personaggio molto particolare, di origini persiane, che ha una storia molto particolare, ma soprattutto è un manager di altissimo livello con il quale io collaboro e che oggi ci darà delle linee guida, ma soprattutto la sua visione, no, di quello che sta accadendo sia in Canada che in Iran, e soprattutto suggerirà a voi delle possibilità, delle opportunità concrete anche in quell'area per poter smuovere un attimino le acque in questo momento particolare. Prima di accoglierlo, ricordo per chi si fosse messo per la prima volta in contatto con noi e in visione, che la 52 Zone questo mese offre un check-up gratuito alle aziende per verificare la potenzialità dei loro prodotti e nel verificare anche i mercati più idonei e più ricettivi per gli stessi prodotti. Quindi direi di approfittarne. Alla fine della trasmissione vedrete sempre comparire il mio numero di telefono, la mail aziendale, quindi potete contattarmi. Ora, siccome il caro amico è, come dicevo, persiano e vive in Canada, questo live andrà in onda in versione inglese, naturalmente, il che credo che non sia un problema per nessuno di voi. Qualora ci fossero qualche problema, scrivete, noi comunque verifichiamo live e io farò delle traduzioni magari non complete, ma fondamentalmente cercherò di riassumere in modo tale che avremo i concetti ben chiari. Vi dico anche che di intervenire ovviamente come avete sempre fatto, potete scrivere tranquillamente in italiano che avremo le traduzioni in inglese, quindi non ci sono problemi, e pertanto adesso direi che è il caso di introdurlo, così che ci racconterà un po' la sua storia, ma soprattutto il lato business delle due aree di cui oggi parleremo. Il suo nome è SHAHDAD BEKHRAD, spero di averlo pronunciato nel modo corretto, me lo dirà lui, e se gentilmente riusciamo a collegarci, così lo abbiamo in diretta. SHAHDAD, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. The microphone is on.
Good morning.
Okay, SHAHDAD.
Good morning, Toronto time, of course. Good afternoon, your time.
Exactly. So we will go for in English. Then if I see that there is some requirements and some demands to be translated, I will do it, so be patient.
Sure.
We will try not to disconnect you and your folks and your talk.
All right.
So first of all, I would like to thank you very much for your presence today.
Good to be with you.
From Canada.
Good to be with you always.
Thank you very much. I introduced you a little bit to my audience and to the Italian audience.
Okay.
We have got to know each other since, I think, 20 years.
Oh, yes.
And we're friends after being partners. SHAHDAD, would you mind just introducing yourself a little bit to our friends in Italy?
Sure, by all means. Just a quick introduction and my background. I was born in Iran, and after finishing my elementary and secondary school, I went to United States to complete my higher education, of course. And I studied both architecture and after that structural engineering. So I received a Bachelor of Architecture and Master's in Structural Engineering. Then I went to work in the United States for a year before I returned to Tehran, to Iran. And during which time, I participated in the design of a number of industrial buildings and a few airports. During which time I learned not only the design aspects of the project, I also learned a lot about project management and how to manage like large-scale projects. After that, when I finished, I think it took me like 8 years when I stayed in Iran. Then I went to London, England, where I worked part-time, but I was preparing for my immigration to Canada, and I came to Canada, immigrated to Canada, and I've been here for more than 30 years now. When I came to Canada, I decided to kind of like expand upon my knowledge of management, and I took and I got involved in many different professional courses and programs, and I started working as a management consultant here in Canada before a friend of mine, as you know him as well, came to Canada and asked me to help him set up and run a business, a distribution business in Dubai. Which
that's where we met.
Absolutely. And that project took me on and off kind of like 10 years. I stayed in the Middle East, in Dubai. Of course, during that time, I used to go back and forth between Canada because, my home and my wife and my kid, but they were here still. And it was after that, it was 2010, if I'm not mistaken, I returned to Canada. And at that time, my son finished his management courses, and he received a master's in management from CAS in London. He returned to Canada as well, and together we founded a company by the name of Reorient Media, which specializes in corporate communication and public relations. And we have been providing these services to Canadian companies ever since. And 3 years ago, I was contacted by a dear friend of mine. She is wife to a very prominent doctor in Iran, and she asked me to help her with a new company that she wanted to establish. The name is Medico, and she asked me to become also the CEO of that company, which only in this case I accepted because honestly I did not have time between my personal engagement in management consulting, because yeah, I also, aside from Reorient, I used to provide management consulting to a lot of companies here in Canada. But I accepted that because of the humanitarian aspects of it, which is mainly focused on identifying and delivering medical products that are really beneficial to to Iran. And what Medico does, very quickly, Medico provides assistance, as a facilitator for Canadian companies or American. There are a few American companies as well, in terms of financial transactions, because these days financial transactions between the Western world and Iran due to sanctions are kind of like very difficult. And the Canadian company, they basically don't want, or they don't have the knowledge or experience to get involved and to handle that part. So we did that for them, in addition to contract management, which again, they needed us, and logistics, because when the goods are obtained and acquired and they need to be transferred to Iran, again, that's a challenge these days, that they did not have the experience to do that. So basically, we are facilitating the work and between the Canadian companies and the Iranian companies, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about it.
Yes, it's a long story, yours.
Yeah.
So we would need a long time. But thanks for this glance at your story. Of course, you are probably one of the many sons of the world, because you started your activity and you were born in Iran, then you moved to Canada, and then you turned to Dubai, then you went to London, Canada again.
Yeah.
So, and what's very important from your side, that you, for sure, you have a wide open mind, and you work in different directions, especially in the management, and now you can see the world in all perspectives, of course. The topic of sanction is quite relevant. We had the same last week. We spoke on Saturday with another collaborator we have, or a partner we have for Russia. So Russia and Iran are also, linked by the sanction issues.
Yes.
And so we will see it today as well. So because when we hear about sanctions, we always think that it's a blind word. But as you are telling us, for example, with medical company, you can trade between USA and Iran despite the sanctions.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I would have a lot of questions for you, and I will try to make it very useful for our audience. And just let me have a look if we have some questions or not at the moment, not yet. So we can just start a little bit. SHAHDAD, of course, Canada is not at the moment in the same situation as Italy. Probably Iran is, in terms of pandemic disaster. Would you mind just let me have a short picture of what Canada is in terms of potentials for Italian companies and Iran as well, generally speaking?
Okay. Well, I can say that the whole this pandemic problem that we are all dealing with, the more I think about it, William, the more I see that it's more of a management issue, and how different countries were able to better manage this manage this problem than a medical issue, because right now, the biggest problem, of course, is to control the curve, as they say, so that the capacities of the hospitals are not overwhelmed. Because, you know, other than that, we don't have yet a cure or a solution for this coronavirus. So for the time being, then, all we can do is to manage it. And some countries were able to manage it better than the other countries. But would I be able to say that Canada has managed, or United States has managed it better than Italy? No. We are just a few steps behind you. We are going to get where you are. So the government here is trying so hard to learn from the problems in Italy and try to prevent that overwhelming of the capacities of the hospitals. But going back to the Canadian market, the Canadian market is, especially for retail, is very tough. When I compare it to United States is a lot easier. First, it's a much bigger pie. Because the United States economy is 10 times Canadian economy. But in terms of trend, Canadian market and economy always follows what we see in the United States, because these two countries are so interconnected to one another that sometimes you know, even if you don't really pass through some borders, which again, we have the longest borders between two countries in the world, you know, from east to west, huge. And it was only after 9/11 that they now checked passports. But other than that, you could even go with a small ID from Canada to United States. So, and 80% of Canadian exports are to United States. So that's why Canadian companies are so used to working with US partners, because of the proximity and because of the ease of doing business. Believe me, for some, you know that Canada has different provinces. You know, we don't have states like United. We have like Ontario, we have Quebec, we have Alberta, we have British Columbia. Believe me, it is at times it is more difficult to do business between two different provinces here than with United States. It is much easier for Ontario companies to do business with United States than doing business with Quebec. I know it is. It might sound funny, but that's the case. That's why Canadian companies, as I'm saying, no matter which province they are so heavily used to working with American companies and American consumers. Having said that, though, after Trump administration, you know, came to power, and they basically tried to renegotiate NAFTA, a lot of Canadian companies now, they realize that they should also try and work with other companies and other countries, be it Italy, France, UK, or whatever, and especially after what we are seeing happening in Eurozone, the opportunities are going to be open for Italian companies to take advantage of this new development and try to enter into the, of course, mind you, Canada, especially Toronto, has a huge Italian community. We have the construction industry is in their hands, basically. When you're talking about real estate, when you're talking about the construction, is basically in the hands of Italians here, or Italian Canadians. And the food industry is also, already, to satisfy this, Italian community here is very, very, very active. So there are lots of Italian companies who are in food. They, for many years, they have been exporting their goods to Canada, and Canada loves it, and especially Ontarians, they love Italian food. But
SHAHDAD,
now,
sorry to interrupt you. We have a question.
Sure.
Sorry, we need to jump a little bit now.
All right.
We're talking about Canada, and there's a question about Iran.
Okay.
After the COVID period, this lady, it's called Irene, and so I say hello to her. She's asking how a particular Italian companies will manage the need to find agents and distributor in Iran.
In Iran. Okay. First of all, let me basically look at it from a macro kind of like situation rather than going, first into the micro views. All these sanctions, and especially the recent pandemic, has taught Iranians to, or has forced Iranians to go towards more of a self-sufficiency rather than being merely consumers of product, meaning just importing the goods into the country. That's why these days when I talk to my partners in Iran, I see that they are more interested in acquiring technologies because the government really supports that, both financially and with any other aspects that you want to think about it. And they are not too keen these days, unless we are talking about products that are absolutely necessary. For for instance, medical, and not even all medical products, because some of them are manufactured locally. So only those products that they cannot still manufacture, but still, even that, they would give you a permit to import them upon your promise that eventually you will, in second and third stages, you will produce them and manufacture them locally. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's the case. When we are talking about, remember, when we were in Dubai, we were talking about cosmetics, and I was in these days, important cosmetics is extremely, officially, of course, I'm not talking about, official. It is very difficult, so they do not allow that as much as they can. They don't allow that. But as I said, they're really keen and they're supporting local manufacturing if possible. Now, how to go and find a kind of like a agent, you may want to say, or a local partner, or a joint venture, or whatever. The best thing to do is to, first of all, you got to study or learn about the market. Each market, as you know, has its own characteristics. So you have to do that, and then you have to see who the audiences and distribution channels of your products would be, and then go and find a local partner who is already in that business. You see what I'm saying? Who is already have been doing that, and your product or your services would add real value to their operation, and their operation would add real value to what you intend to do. Because there are so many people over there, they are claiming that they can do this and that for you, but they are not. They are not.
So if we have to give very full reply to Irene, the thing is that it will not be easy to find the agents or distributors unless you have some special products that in Iran are looking for and is not manufactured.
That is true.
This does not regard COVID or no COVID. That would be the same. So there will be no difference in this case.
No, no, it would not. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was contacted by a Canadian company here, and they told me they can drop ship a lot of products from China to Iran, like masks, gowns, this and that, whatever. But you know, Iran is already directly buying heavily from China. You know, these things. If you are talking about some, as I said, some specialty things, like one that I wrote to you yesterday. I don't know if you got that message that I sent you. There are some products that they still cannot get good quality from China. So that's why they are still keen on getting them from the Western countries. But as far as the masks or gowns or gloves or these and that, they're already getting it from China. Container and container basis. So that's why I told this country, you know, the companies here, unfortunately, there's not much that they can add to that.
Yeah. So, you know, Shahdad, one of the main target of this live is to give some hints to Italian businessmen and companies to get into some new different markets, and probably even before the COVID is over, and just to give some suggestions and prospects. So Iran, of course, it's a very tough country because of the sanctions, but as well as you, I mean, I know people that their needs and are eager and are very keen on Italian products. And your suggestion was to move, you know, somehow to make investments if you have a very specific and special product, and to work with the right people, which could be very common sentence, but it's always very important because a lot of people claim, but not everybody is skilled and to have a sufficient distribution in a country. So I guess, Irene, you got the reply. If not, go ahead. And okay, so coming back to Canada, but also to Iran, there's an issue which is very interesting at the moment, which is the digital size of the business. So what is your opinion about that?
Yeah, absolutely correct. You know, as you know, we have been moving and going towards the digitization already for quite some time now. But this coronavirus pandemic, they have taught even the businesses, both on a business level and consumer level, and that, you know, all those businesses that so far had did not see a need for further digitization, and now they are learning that they have to do that, otherwise they would not survive. It starts even from restaurants and even cocktail bars right now. They try to take advantage of that. Because up to now, only bigger companies like Amazon and eBay but you know, this new pandemic has created a lot of opportunities, and I will tell you how. First of all, for small businesses, I have a grocery store,
which is very important for our audience.
Absolutely.
Because, normally, our target is a medium-sized company or small companies also, providing they have very interesting product.
Yeah, of course. You know, like up to now, William, if people wanted to buy some groceries or some household products and stuff, they would go to Amazon or whatever. Now, even our local shops, you know, here, they have created an online category and menu, which you can easily go and order it, and they can deliver it to you much faster than the bigger companies can. So basically, here's what is happening. One is that this pandemic has created new marketing groups, what I call that. There were so many people that they were so reluctant on still purchasing their goods and even look for services online. Kind of like older people, not computer savvy people and stuff like that. But now they are entering into the market. Just imagine that. Now it's it's a new, very, very new people coming into this market. You see what I'm saying? With different age, different background, so on and so forth. The group that up to now, we just used to close our eyes on them and say, well, these guys are not shopping for their goods and services online, but now they are. So basically, that's one new development. Second is we have to look for the packaging and new distribution channels. Like the other day, I was reading about this lack of toilet papers in department in grocery stores or stores like Whole Food and this and that, and immediate thing that comes to our mind is that, oh, people are panicking and that's why they are buying new toilet paper and more toilet paper. But that's not the case. The case is that, first of all, because people are staying home, they are using their home sanitary system a lot more, because by 40%, because a lot of them used to work, and during their work 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours working time, they would use so basically hotels, all the consumption of the toilet papers in hotels, at airports, at office buildings, and so on, they have reduced drastically. Now, even believe me, there are some hotels that are advertising that they are selling their extra toilet papers online if you want. So you see the channels opening now. But the thing, sorry.
Can you see the question and below you?
First of all,
it's Roberta. Roberta, hi. She's one of our most trustful.
Okay, this is exactly what I'm going through right now. This is exactly the subject that we are talking. See, because of and I'm using only the toilet paper as an example. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, for the next question comes is that why can't the manufacturers immediately switch from the commercial kind of like sales to more retail and even direct consumer? It is all it has to do with packaging, because when you sell wholesale, it requires different kind of like huge packaging rather than smaller consumer size packaging. So they have to adapt to that, and then they have to adapt to a new distribution channel, because how you distribute to hotels and to wholesalers and stuff is different than how you distribute them to the consumers and to retailers. Next thing is the healthcare issues these days that it didn't, it was not kind of like such a big deal prior to this pandemic. Now, all the packaging, for instance, when I'm ordering something online, they tell me as an added value that rest assured that the packages we send you is all sanitized, or it's in a way that it attracts less germs than, you see what I'm saying there? As you can see, when you go through everything is changing. Everything is changing. A new trend is coming, and the values are changing. Prior to this, convenience may not have, or even contacts. Believe me, like now, even the banks are trying to rearrange their services. And their motto is that, we are trying to make the need for your personal contact as much, needless as possible. So again, prior to this, they would love to somehow attract you to their branch, that they would sell you multiple products. You see what I'm saying? For instance, when you wanted to go and deposit or get a check or get some money, they would talk to you about the investments, mutual funds, insurance, a lot of those stuffs. You see what I'm saying? So they would love to somehow attract you, and some of them even started building coffee shops in their branch. So basically, that was the trend. Believe me, 2 months ago, and it was now they are trying to eliminate all those, and they are trying to tell you, look, you can stay home, you can take your check, make it, put it in front of your camera, and we will deposit it for you. No contacts, nothing. But again, going back to the consumers in Canada, consumers in Canada, they are very tough, William. They are different from Italian consumers or even American consumers. Very, very different. Very different. They are very particular. They look and they think about everything 10 times before they make a purchase.
Okay, we have another question. It's Olga. Glad to hear from you. Glad to read from you mostly. Olga is asking that except for technology, cosmetics, and medical goods, which goods are easy and profitable to export to Iran? The same question for Canada. Which goods are most important and exported? Thanks, Olga.
Oh boy, I'm being very honest with you. I have been away from, and for past 3-4 years, I haven't, had an opportunity to go back to Iran. I just talk to my colleagues every once in a while over there. So right offhand, right now, and as you know, their needs change on a daily basis. Mind you, when you want to export to Iran, the importers have a few obstacles in front of them. One of them is to get access to kind of like cheap foreign exchange, okay? Because otherwise it would be, because you, as you know, we have two different systems. One is the government or preferred rates, and there is a market rate. Market rate fluctuates on a daily basis. Sometimes even it is extremely volatile, and that's why importers are very, are at really risk of these foreign currency fluctuations. I have seen people when there was like at one time the exchange rate went to even 20 or 20 plus thousand 2 months. 2 months is a local currency to $1. So they use that money, that foreign exchange rate, to purchase goods, and then they brought it to Iran. And after less than a month, it dropped to 13,000, 2 months to $1, and that makes it extremely risky. And so how can this guy right now possibly compete with the person who used lesser exchange rate to bring the goods into Iran? And then for some products that you have to go through the banking systems in Iran, and only for, as I said, those products, mostly medical, that are absolutely necessary, they give you an exchange rate something around 5,000 2 months to $1. So you can see it's like less than half of what the market rate goes to for. But then again, as I'm saying, you have to first let them know what you want to import. You got to give them the pro forma invoice. They have to look at it. They have to qualify the products that you want to enter, and then you have to give them your money to the central, to the banks over there. Then they allocate some foreign exchange, preferred rate foreign exchange to you, and then again, and that's where Italy and Germany are, and even UK are better positioned than Canada and United States, because most financial transactions, because you as an exporter in Italy, you have to get your money before you can send your goods to another country. But how the poor importer from Iran has to get the money to you, that's a tough thingy. In Canada, because when you want to send money to North America, everything goes through the American banking system. Well, American banking system basically is controlling most of the even European banking system, but still in Europe it is much easier, because that's why Euro is trying to devise a mechanism by which the transactions between the financial transactions between Iran and Europe would not have to go through American banking system. Thereby, they can legally bypass these sanctions. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying illegally, but legally they can do that. But that's another discussion. It's a very complicated mechanism still. Again, like as an Italian manufacturer or as an Italian exporter, first you have to find out, right now, seriously, and I apologize, right off hand, I cannot name, except for a few medical products, I cannot tell you which ones and which ones are not allowed to be imported into the country. But if your listeners or viewers are interested, if they send you the products that they have in mind, I can definitely look into it and ask my colleagues to let them know if they are of necessity or categorized as necessity or not.
That is very useful, SHAHDAD. And I guess the Canada is a different story, as you anticipated, in comparison to Iran.
Absolutely, absolutely. Canada is an open market, and Canada has fantastic relationship, of course, with Europe. But again, the only thing with Canada, as I said, is because of Canada being a small pie, and there are lots of people from, and lots of countries fighting over a small piece of this small pie. It makes it extremely, like, no, I'm not saying impossible, but it makes it tough. You see what I'm saying? It is, put it this way, it is much tougher than US. You see what I'm saying? But with right marketing strategy and right distribution, like, I would really advise for Italian exporters to find themselves, rather than an agent, you see what I'm saying, or whatever, I would say go, increase your online presence, okay? Because online is international. Everybody can access any website anywhere in the world. And then the second problem, because how quickly they can get the products here in Canada. So basically what you would expect your distributor to do is just to maintain a sizable inventory here in Canada, and then a reliable distribution channel, all right, to be able to order and to send the products to their consumers. And because it is much easier to go to consumers, directly to consumers these days, rather than trying to do wholesale, because again, the margins are extremely low. So my suggestion again would be, find a person who is financially able to maintain an inventory of the products that here in Canada, or in, well, Toronto, for instance, is the biggest market in Canada. And then they would have, or be able to work with reliable distribution channels. And then you increase your internet presence as much as you can, and take advantage of all the marketing tools available to you online. Believe me, if you do that, and if you're able to talk people's language and really relate to them by, all those things, that are related to online marketing, you will be able to go directly, because these days, especially these days, people spend a lot of time online trying to look for different goods and services or whatever. That's a fantastic time for you to appeal to them. And then when they put their orders, guess what? In a matter of day or two, your distributor here. So basically you are doing the selling, and your agent or your distributor is doing the distribution. You see what I'm saying? You will be able to sell it better than a person here, unless, as I'm saying, unless they have been in such business for a very long time, and they just put your product next to other products that they have. If it sells itself, it doesn't. But I'm saying you can take control of your business.
So, SHAHDAD, thanks. I hope, Olga, you got the reply. What I would like to say is this view of mixed model that you are introducing us, which is a little bit, revolutionary in comparison with what has been so far.
Yes.
Where you confer to the distributor all, the responsibility, all the duties, and the success of your story. Mostly it's up to their skills and to their ability. What you are suggesting now is a different perspective, where you use the same skill as before of the distributor, but mostly the sales approach will be diverted from his side to the manufacturer's side.
Yes, they can do a better job.
Yeah, and the manufacturer will have the main role in that, while the distributor will have to take care mostly of the supply and the logistic and the distribution. Thanks to you, Olga. There was another interesting question from Anita, which I say hello to her, which is, very, connected to what you were saying. And what do you think about the evolution of direct sales versus retail versus wholesale? In general, she's asking, I guess, will all these business models survive after the Corona? What do you think?
Of course, in terms of wholesale, that it's a much, for you to be a wholesaler, you need a much bigger operation than retailer. And wholesalers, basically, their margins are not very high. They basically work with high volume, low margin. That's what their business model is. But I would say these days, only those wholesalers are going to be able to survive. First of all, they have had previously good cash management, because right now cash is king. All those companies that they don't have cash, depending on how long this is going to last, this pandemic thingy is going to last. I would, and not me, but it is expected between 25 to 35% of them are going to go out of business. So basically, because they don't have, I know there are so many economic incentives by the governments, but then believe me, they cannot.
Depends on the period as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
the survival period depends. The period will.
That is true. And you see, this pandemic situation, has increased more on a kind of like a consumer purchase rather than, you see what I'm saying? Absolutely, because as the case was, as I told you about the toilet papers, now wholesalers are not able to sell, to all those centers that they used to buy in bulk, like airports, like hotels, like resorts, because they are basically, their business is down. So basically their main consumers are direct consumers, or going to the very close, because nobody wants to go from here to the other side of town in order to purchase something. So everybody wants to go to their local shops. You see what I'm saying? Even that, which I do, but all my friends tell me, you're crazy. Just order everything online. Order food online, or anything, household goods online, everything online, and don't even set foot on your local stores, because you don't know if that person can, is affected or not. But the thing is, yes, this pandemic thing is going to be over soon. But you know what? Believe me, to a certain extent, the trend is going to maintain, is going to carry on. Because first of all, people, even though even previous to this, there were so many of my friends, they used to tell me, why are you buying these things? Just go on Amazon and buy on Amazon, even water bottles, this and that. I didn't like that because, I like, going shopping was an experience in itself. So, but people like me, or even older people, that are now forced to do this. And you know what? When they use it and when they see the ease, and then when they see the convenience, even when the shops open up again, and this pandemic, which again, it's not going to be like a month or 2 months, quickly, like turn the switch on and everything is okay. No. It's going to happen in very, very, very long stages. So basically this thing is, and during this time, we are going to be exposed to many different opportunities that most of us are going to adapt it, this trend. So this is going to stay with us. Like working from home. Up to this point, people thought that they only need an office space to go on. Now, even big corporations, they are realizing, hey, maybe that's not the case. Maybe we don't have to. And guess what? How much money we're going to save? Retailers as well. Retailers as well.
So, SHAHDAD, regarding the Anita's questions, can we say that probably the three business models will still be alive, but the percentage of incidents in the market would completely be different, and the direct sale will take a bigger position?
Much bigger position. Yeah. Even William, before this pandemic, I took a trip to New York, and because I do most of my shopping for clothes or whatever in New York. We have many more options than here in Toronto. And you know what? I came across some very interesting boutiques, very, very interesting boutiques. Beautiful clothes, all right? I used to go in, and when I wanted to purchase, the guy said, no, we don't sell here. This is only a sample. So basically, they are combining online and offline. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes you want to take a look at something before you buy it. So basically, you would go there, you would see the suit or whatever that you would like to, and you loved it, and even you see which size would fit you best. Then they would order it for you. So this way, they don't have to have a big, huge warehouse to maintain their inventory. Even, and on top of that, they would not have to lock so much money in inventory that they don't know which size sells, which doesn't sell, which model sell, which doesn't sell, and then they have to go to fire sale, this and that, whatever. Honestly, I loved their business model, and I said, look, my hat is off to you. This is beautiful. And guess what? This is exactly the same thing that I said before. All you need, if you're selling something that people need to see it, if you're selling a can of food or whatever, people don't have to see it. You see what I'm saying? Or but if you're selling things that they have to see it and touch it or whatever before selling it, before buying it, all you got to do is to ask or set up, or your distributor would do that. Give them the license or the rights to have a shop over there, small boutique type, just for people to go and see. And you would combine the online advertising with local advertising. People see it, people love it. And guess what? This way, you can not only save money and increase your profit margin, really by a significant amount, but also you would be able to get the clothes to, especially these days, very, very kind of like a savvy buyers, because everybody still after that are going to be careful how much money they're going to spend. So if you are able to give them the good product with very, very good price, you're in business. You're in business.
Well, very interesting. Absolutely. I mean, you are introducing us a view of what's gonna be and what it was almost started before the COVID, a trend towards the direct consumer instead of the multiple steps to go
Yes.
to the consumer. And so if we can just a little bit summarize, we could go forward for ages for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Due to your experience, like as manager, that for sure Iran is an interesting country, but unless you have a very special product due to the sanctions, it would not be easy. Yeah, and you have to try to find you need to find the right people over there, trustful and with financial potentials. You mean concerning Canada, it's a different story. It's not a big pie, as you said, comparison to USA, for example, but it's a country that is used to doing business with foreign countries, especially from the Europe. And but this situation with COVID still representing opportunities. These opportunities, sorry, will have to be taken in a different way than in the past.
Yes.
And investing much more to the direct consumer, and think about the role of the distributor in a different way. It's not giving all the responsibilities and all your lucky.
Absolutely true.
And all your fortune to him or to them, but doing directly yourself and control the market in a different way. So I guess that Canada, the products that Olga was asking for, according to the statistics that I have, it's still, a lot of Italian products, especially in food, in constructions, in machinery, and in automotive also as well. So probably the kind of products will not gonna change, but what's gonna changing is the system. And now Italian companies are kindly requested to think about the situation and adapt themselves to the new environment, which is something that we have in any case to think about, because the environment will be changing all over the world, not only in our own country.
Absolutely
so for
true.
people that export, another interesting thing that you introduced, and we have a live in some days where we will be talking about this, which is the impact of smart working on the business. So that it's really tremendous change.
Yes.
And novelty,
Well,
which unfortunately, sorry, Sharad, which
No.
unfortunately it came by constrictions, not by choice, apart from the big multinational companies that were starting to do that, like Apple they're always, further on in comparison with the others. But in Italy, for instance, and I would love to talk about this later on with my followers, the smart working is such an interesting stuff. As I said, unfortunately, it was by constrictions, not by a choice, because by a choice, it would be much more developed. In any case, today, we are all experiencing the fact that our life can be done. I mean, business can be done in any case by distance. You don't need to move, to commute every day, to lose time, money. And this will imply a huge change of mind, especially in the Italian companies. Believe me, the middle-sized company where it's mandatory that they see you sit on a desk in an office.
True.
No matter, what you produce, and no matter the results, sometimes, of course, but it is important that you stay 8-9 hours stuck in an office. The smart working will be a huge challenge. And just the last word, because I introduced this little hint in my previous live, there's a matter of skill and competence and knowledge that will come really, really, absolutely, above the lines. Why? Because especially with the smart working, you will not be anymore judged by the number of hours you will be stuck in an office, but you will be judged on the quality of what you are producing.
Absolutely.
And as you said, the 20, 25, 30% of the business will be over. So the same will happen to people, unfortunately. So the skill and the knowledge that we have, if we have, will prevail. It's a little bit Darwinian, way of seeing things from my side, but I've got through a lot of readings these days, and this is quite common in many people. Would you like to add anything, SHAHDAD?
No, that's it. Basically what you said is absolutely right. We are moving towards more of a demand-driven market rather than supply-driven market. So basically we have to have that in mind. And you know what? Always crisis is the best time for invention. You're right. We are forced to do that. And basically it has always been like that. Always
exactly.
Need and requirements pushes you to be more inventive and to show more initiation for change. So basically these are I would say there's always a positive in everything, and the positive thing that I see in all this is that we are reevaluating. Because right now, William, it's as if we have pressed the pause button. You see what I'm saying? Right now we're in a pause, and then it enables us to, and then after that it's going to be reset, and you will see everything is going to reset. But I would say the result is going to be very good in terms of efficiency and everything else. We learn a lot of lessons. We've learned in every aspect, in healthcare, in how to face crises, how to manage problems, so on and so forth. So basically,
just let me add that probably we will have to push the forward button after all, and not the play one.
Sure, absolutely. Sure, we will do that.
So if there's any other question, I would say best regards to you. And I would thank you very much for being available from Toronto for us.
Always.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And so for any further investigations or curiosity about the Canadian and the Iranian market, you can contact me wherever, and I will contact SHAHDAD. So we will be happy to give you any sort of suggestions and to make the best of your opportunities that will come forward in a very short time. I will pass to Italian, SHAHDAD. Sorry, 1 second. Io, come dicevo, spero che sia stata una chiacchierata molto interessante. SHAHDAD è un personaggio particolare, potrebbe parlarci per ore, tanta è la sua esperienza, tanti mondi ha vissuto, tante situazioni ha attraversato. Io credo che sia stato molto interessante perché ci ha dato delle prospettive diverse, un modo di guardare quello che accadrà, e sicuramente sta già accadendo, e degli strumenti che noi tutti dobbiamo attivare, no? Questo sguardo che lui suggeriva verso il consumatore finale, dove il valore aggiunto non sarà più tutta una serie di cose che abbiamo vissuto ad oggi, ma sarà un servizio diverso, dalla consegna all'aspetto esperienziale che riguarderà molto la parte di sicurezza, quindi di salute, sono da considerare. Anche i mercati molto lontani oggi, con lo strumento che noi conosciamo, il digital, io spero che riuscirò a fare anche un intervento su questo, sto aspettando un caro amico. Da questo punto di vista ci tengo molto, perché comunque la digitalizzazione sarà un elemento chiave anche e soprattutto sui mercati internazionali, perché scordiamoci, questo mi spiace dirlo, un po' brutalmente forse, ma scordiamoci per un po' almeno, perché poi spero che tornerà tutto a normalizzarsi. Scordiamoci low cost, i voli low cost, perché dalla crisi che stanno vivendo le aziende di trasporti questo accadrà, quindi diventerà un po' più complicato e quindi lo strumento digitale ci salverà e dovremo investire molto in quello. Grazie a te Olga che hai avuto la pazienza di ascoltarmi anche oggi. Grazie a tutti quelli che ci hanno seguito in diretta e tutti quelli che ci seguiranno. Abbiamo visto che sono tantissimi quelli che ci seguono anche in un secondo momento. Io a questo punto vi ringrazio, abbiamo sforato l'ora. Vi ricordo che noi ci troviamo giovedì all'orario canonico che abbiamo istituzionalizzato, che era quello delle ore 11. Il tema questa volta è di natura legale, parleremo con l'avvocato Davide Belloni che si occupa di contrattualistica internazionale, che è un aspetto molto importante per chi fa il nostro lavoro. Sono molto contento di ritrovare Davide dopo una parentesi e ci racconterà appunto dei dettagli molto tecnici su quello che sta accadendo, le implicazioni, la forza maggiore e quello che succederà dopo. Io vi rinnovo appunto i miei dati, che la mail www.50@52zone.it, il mio numero di telefono che vedete in sovraimpressione. Mi raccomando, utilizzate questi spazi sia per fare domande anche in un secondo momento che riguardano quello che ci ha raccontato Olga la settimana scorsa sulla Russia e sulla Bielorussia, quello che ci ha raccontato Ivano, che tra l'altro è in continua evoluzione, come avete sentito ieri sera il nostro Presidente del Consiglio Giuseppe Conte, e quello che ci ha raccontato SHAHDAD in particolare oggi con le sue visioni di quello che sarà a breve il nostro futuro. Noi ci ritroviamo giovedì, parleremo di contratti, grazie a tutti, è stato un piacere anche oggi e spero che sia stato utile per tutti. Vi saluto, ci vediamo fra un paio di giorni. Grazie.